From the Arizona Daily Star and Tucson.com, this is the Wildcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast podcast. You can subscribe, rate, and comment the Wildcast wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on the Wildcaster app. On that app, you can also find all of our stories and all sorts of other great digital content that is a must-have if you're an Arizona Wildcats fan. You got to get on it and download the Wildcaster app today. And be sure to follow us and like us on Facebook and the social media app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. Got Lev and sports editor Brett Fera. How's it going, guys?
I don't put formerly known as Twitter in when we're running stories, by the way.
Huh?
What do we do these days?
I mean, we got to properly do
just
it
call
X.
it X/Twitter.
I do X, and then next to it in parentheses put Twitter.
Yeah, that's fair.
The reason is so James Kelly, one of our guys who does high school stuff for us and stuff, he always puts X'd instead of tweeted, and I'm like, I can't leave that in. He's trying to be all he's great. He's trying to be up with the times and
posted.
the comment. So he puts so and so X'd this, and I'm like, no, X''D, and I'm like,
well, not even X uses X.
Yeah, they say post
as a verb. Yeah,
it's like post, repost, stuff like that.
Great marketing idea there by Elon. But anyway,
at the Wildcaster.
Yep.
At Justin Esports.
Mm-hmm.
At
Michael J.
Fera,
Lev.
at Michael J. Lev.
Get us on.
Nice little segue
X.
to our show.
Yeah.
This is I think by far the most interesting game of the season.
100%
so far.
Yeah.
In so many ways. We might have a different starting quarterback for Arizona.
Are you saying it will be the most interesting game all year?
It's shaping up as the most interesting so far.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so far.
If Arizona loses and doesn't win any more games, I think the ASU game becomes really interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it does. We might have a new starting quarterback. We don't know at this point in time. We're recording on Wednesday this week.
If there's any ASU fans or listeners out there, we really don't know. It's not just that we see things and aren't reporting it because we're not supposed to. I brought this up last week about that stuff.
Yeah,
we really don't know.
No, we don't know.
I'm getting side eyes from Lev for bringing this up. So.
It's fine. We're also facing this Washington juggernaut of an offense, and I'm writing about it in Cat Stats this week. It's going to be kind of all about UW and just how unique they are. The most explosive plays of any team in the country. They have the most passing plays of 10-plus yards, the most passing plays of 20-plus yards, the most passing plays of 30-plus yards. Then they never get sacked either. So make it make sense, right? I mean, Michael Penix has an ADOT, that's average depth of target, of 12.4 yards. That is 12th highest in the country. He's been sacked one time. So you think in your head, okay, the average depth of target's so high.
I know.
It's not yak. It's they have this vertical attack, and he gets the ball out. It's very much like Miami, of the NFL. So, last year's game, Arizona, they had only 7 pressures the whole game and 45 dropbacks. Do you know what Michael Penix's stats were on those 7 pressures, Justin? He was 7 for 7.
Yeah.
For 121 yards, averaging 17.3 yards per attempt. So even if you do pressure him, he can still kill you.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're gonna slow down this Washington attack other than maybe just take the air out of the ball on offense and just try to play, ball possession, keep him on the sideline.
What do you do defensively? I've been toying around with this all week long, and I've kind of come to the solution where I'm like, you know what? Utilize the dollar package, the 3-1-7 formation. Get all your best defensive backs out there, which includes also Genesis Smith, Isaiah Taylor. Might see maybe a little bit of DJ Warnell.
Sure.
I mean, you can throw a number of guys out there. Dylan Wyatt, another one of those guys. Mm-hmm. Have all those DBs out there. I like Jacob Manu as the roaming linebacker because he has a nose for the ball and he's going to be wherever. He always swarms. It feels like even though there's one missed tackle, Jacob Manu's not far away to make the play. I also like the idea of every now and again throwing out Justin Flo as the linebacker and saying, you know what, Flo, go full Bobby Boucher. Just go crazy and attack the quarterback and do whatever you can to make Michael Penix very uncomfortable. Now, I think the biggest key for this game, and we'll have our score prediction at the end of the podcast along with our other Pac-12 picks for the week, is, Washington, if you think about it, they've never really had any close games in the fourth quarter. Like every single game this year, they've been killing teams and just kind of coasting in the second half. If Arizona can somehow find a way to make it a little bit interesting in that fourth quarter, really put some pressure on them, we'll see what this Washington team is made of. And ultimately, we'll also see what Arizona's made of too.
It's physical pressure and mental pressure.
Yeah.
Right? That can change things.
You and I were talking about this yesterday, Justin, that on a local level, at the high school level, we were talking about this last week. You had undefeated Canyon Del Oro going to Marana. Marana's first game at home. They'd won one game all year, up 14-0 at the half over a 4-0 team. And we're talking like, oh my gosh, maybe this team's better. Final score 49-21. Like, I could see, not literally that, but I could see this. I could see a tight first half. And all of a sudden we start thinking, wait a minute, or Arizona's up 14-10 at the half, and like something like that's happening. I see Washington having too many horses to come out of the break and not put up 5 more touchdowns if that was the case. So even if Arizona gets off to a hot enough start and hangs in there early, I kind of say the opposite. It's not so much they're going to be in it late. I think they're going to be in it early, and it's going to flip on its head.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about this on the radio show, Justin. I think really important for Arizona to get off to a good start in this game. They haven't started well, at least offensively, since the NAU game. We've talked about this many times. A lot of emptied possessions in the first quarter. You're going to have a huge crowd. It's a red out, right? You got to get the crowd engaged right away.
But there's another part to that. I agree with that. But the other part to that is this team, and granted, they did against, I guess technically against Stanford. They definitely did against Mississippi State. But is this team capable of playing with the next 3 teams in particular, Washington, USC, Washington State, probably all top 10 teams if Washington State can beat Oregon in the next couple of weeks, and really good offenses? Is Arizona capable of playing from behind and playing catch-up like that? That's the other reason why. I think you're right, like getting the crowd into it, getting momentum for yourselves, but also because the other team's probably going to score in place. And if it's 14-0 or 17-0 after a quarter and 3 minutes, you're not coming back from that probably against these explosive teams they're facing these next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I would say you definitely have to expose each of these next opponents' weaknesses. USC, I mean, defensively, they're not all there. Honestly, I don't consider USC the best team in the Pac-12 because of that reason. I think Washington is a little bit better on that side of the ball. That's why I put them as the best team in the Pac-12. But I think that if Arizona can somehow find a way to get the ball out of their hands quick and score points, then Arizona's going to have a fighter's chance against Washington. And I'm really interested as a Lions snob to see probably the biggest test that Jordan Morgan and Jonas Avianea will face all year. Braylon Trice, and then who's the other guy that leads them in sacks?
ZTF.
Yeah, ZTF. Zion. Those 2 guys right there are animals. And that will probably be the biggest test that Arizona will face all season long, outside of course, Utah. But those edge rushers are going to be pretty nasty. Arizona's going to be really tested this week. And this is going to be one hell of a game. I'm excited.
The biggest argument for Jayden de Laura remaining the starting quarterback for Arizona, I think, is exactly what Brett brought up. You're going to get in these shootout type games. It's just inevitable. You are not going to be able to control the pace, the tempo, keep the score down against Washington, USC, Washington State, maybe even Oregon State. I mean, these teams are they're loaded. They're some of the best quarterbacks in the country, some of the most explosive offenses. Jayden de Laura probably gives you the best chance to win that type of game.
Yeah.
At least based on what we know now. We've never seen Noah Fafita play a full game. We've only seen him play a quarter of a game under, what you call like meaningful circumstances, right? Where it wasn't a blowout. It wasn't just, garbage time in the fourth quarter or whatnot. Maybe he's fully capable of doing that. He certainly doesn't have a lot of experience doing it. So, I don't know. You certainly don't want to be in that situation where you're having to come back from an early double-digit deficit. So getting off to that strong start, I think, I don't think there's been kind of one thing that's been happening over and over again. Like sometimes it's turnovers, sometimes they're just kind of bogging down. There has been a lot of talk about rhythm and timing.
Yeah.
If it's Noah Fafita, maybe there's a little bit better rhythm and timing. It certainly seemed like there was better rhythm and timing at the end of the Stanford game. For him to do that over a full game, that's a different challenge.
Yeah. Well, I noticed that the only negative plays that Arizona had when Noah Fafita was in the game were the two kneel downs at the end. That was it. Other than that, they were making 15-yard passes, 16-yard passes. They were running the ball. Like, they were just in a certain flow. Now, again, I don't want to sit here and be like the keyboard warriors on Twitter that we've seen, where it's like, bench Jaden. I've seen enough. Put in Noah Fafita. It's time to move on. I don't really think that's fair to Jaden, because we haven't seen a full game of Noah Fafita. Now, if Noah Fafita comes in against Washington, a tougher defense, Arizona's offense seems to be more in a flow, and they get off to a fast start. They check off all the boxes on offense. Then if you're Jedd Fisch, you have to be thinking about something. But it goes back to Jaden's ankle. Like, if Jaden is healthy and available to play, he will play. This is his team. He's the franchise quarterback for now. But if the opportunity presents itself and Noah Fafita executes and takes it and runs with it, then it should be very interesting.
What do you think about the quarterback situation, Brett?
I mean, I agree with Justin's point. I think it's deeper than the quarterback, though, not to segue to a totally different topic, but I think it's all interconnected. Is that I say this totally acknowledging that, and we had many debates about this amongst ourselves. We appreciate the Arizona Media Relations and SID office and Jeff Bowe in particular for helping us clarify this. But the last two kind of key plays that Arizona had to eventually shut down the game were 7-yard passes at Jacob Cowing. So when I say this, it's understanding that there was still a point of going to him in crunch time. But isn't there an argument that, your preseason All-American wide receiver isn't the best receiver on the team? We've made that case the last couple of weeks. Isn't there an argument that as great as Michael Wiley could be, and as much as we love him, that maybe these other guys are proving better or more powerful in the moment? And I think that affects the quarterback situation because there is this expectation that you have sort of these leaders at each position, and that Delora is going to be working with Wiley and working with Cowing / T-Mac and working with McLaughlin, who thankfully for the Wildcats got into gear this past week. But I think that's part of it. I think part of the uncertainty is that I don't think we have still seen who's really in the sort of domineering role for each of these positions. Yeah. And that, to me, affects the quarterback play. I still, to sum up, I agree with Justin's point. I think you have to go with, if he's healthy, you go with the known commodity right now, especially because from an explosiveness standpoint, he's the one that can create those plays. Can he also create the negative plays? Yeah, but
another thing I'm also worried about is, does Jaden feel a little bit of pressure? Like, oh man, I'm hurt, I'm banged up. I need to come back, one, because Arizona's playing the number 7 team in the country, and two, what if Noah Fafita goes in and absolutely kills it, and I'm no longer the starting quarterback? I do worry, we talk about Jaden being the ultimate superhero, that he's going to do too much, try to come back to this game, and, sorry, my laptop is going off here, and really do too much, and he's unhealthy, so he can't move, he can't do a lot of the things that he's normally good at, and we're going to see a lot of issues on offense for Arizona. Something to pay attention to.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to that very thing. Like, how healthy is he? Can he move around like he normally can? And if he can't, I think it's pretty cut and dry decision for Jedd. Yeah. That you go with Fafita, see what he's got, and you don't want to put Jaden out there when he's not up to his maximum mobility, because that's one of his best assets. It's keeping plays alive, making something out of nothing, creating, improvising, all that stuff. You guys ready for Pac-12 picks?
Let's do it.
Okay, a little review here from last week. Brett and I both went 6-0 straight up. Justin was 5-1. He took Oregon State.
Note to self: never bet the line. Just bet straight up.
Just bet money
Killing
line.
it on the money line.
You and I both, all three of us are. But
yeah, I went 4-2 against the spread for the second week in a row. Humble brag. Brett was 3-3. Justin was 2-4. For the season, Brett is 25-3 straight up. I'm 24-4. Justin's 22-6. Our records against the spread: Justin is in first place, but the gap is narrowing. He's at 15-13. Brett and I are both at 14-14.
500 ball.
It's been a big climb for me after that 2-6 first week to get up to 500. So happy about that. To be sure, we will start with a Friday night game. Only 5 games total in the Pac-12 this week. Got a couple of teams on bye. We have number 10 Utah visiting number 19 Oregon State. The Friday night, 6 p.m. time slot. That game is on Fox Sports 1. Mm-hmm. The Beavers are favored by 3 at home. We still don't know for sure whether Cam Rising's going to play. I mean, this thing has been going on forever and ever. The latest I saw, they're splitting reps in practice, 2 quarterbacks. They did that last week too, and Cam Rising didn't play. Utah has other injuries as well. I am going to take Oregon State to win this game and cover. I just think that it's only so long that Utah can keep playing this way and keep winning. I mean, they're kind of barely scraping by. Their defense is awesome, no question about it, but that's a high wire act, and they're, in my opinion, due to fall off whether Cam Rising plays or not. So I'm going to take the Beavers in this one.
Got a weekday game, Oregon State playing against a top 10 opponent. Just reminds me of USC. And Mark Sanchez.
I was there, 2008.
Give me the Beavers to win and cover. I like Oregon State, the way they're playing. I agree with you, Lev. I think not having really certainty at quarterback.
And a bunch of other spots, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are banged up.
Yeah, they're a very injured team right now. And so with that being said, Utah, they lose. Oregon State continues the Pac-12 revenge tour, and they get their 4th win of the season. And they become a top 15 opponent next week.
What do you got, Brett?
It's funny that I get to go third on these because I think I get to use your picks to help assess mine. It's not like we put them in a bucket and have to pull them out and they're the exact. Because to me, it's a pick-em game. It really is, and it's for all the reasons that you just said, Lev. I also think at some point the Pac-12 teams do have to start eating each other alive. We saw it last week with Washington State and Oregon State. So Oregon State winning and getting its own mini revenge a week after kind of, coming real close to coming back against Washington State, I think is part of it. Plus they're at home. The quarterback situation at Utah, I think Oregon State's going to win and cover only because it's, we're talking about a field goal and a half. I don't think it's going to be within 3 points.
And I think if there's any team that can really match up against Utah.
Really good point.
Oh yeah.
It's Oregon State.
Oh, you mean the football?
like they're
talking about all these
they're a diet version of them.
Yeah.
And now they're healthy. So it's like similar styles. Oregon State's healthier. Let's go with the Beavers.
All right, on Saturday.
I'm talking about all this hocus pocus, and you're like, oh, by the way, football. It's the same. Yeah, you're totally right.
Saturday morning, we have number 8 USC at Colorado. Big noon kickoff on Fox. This game is at 9 a.m. our time. It's at 10 a.m. in Boulder. All the celebrities are going to be out for that one. I don't think Taylor Swift is going to be there.
Damn.
But just about everybody else, it will be the place to be. Colorado kind of got
show up just to mess with people.
She's like a huge football fan now. It's like,
wearing
football,
Colorado
really cool.
gear
like
and the Dion sunglasses.
Oh man, primetime Swift.
So Colorado kind of got its comeuppance last week. They got absolutely obliterated by Oregon, and now USC comes in. USC didn't play great. Their defense kind of reverted to form. A lot of missed tackles. That game against ASU was a 1-score game in the 4th quarter. An ASU team that got shut out by Fresno at home. So the spread is large, as you might expect. It's 21.5 as we're recording this.
Okay.
USC is giving 21.5. Justin, you go first on this one.
I got USC to win, but Colorado to cover. I think it's a very large spread. Coming back home to Ralphie, I think will play some sort of effect in this game. And USC, I mean, they've struggled on the road this season. We all thought they were going to go beat ASU by 6 or 7 touchdowns, and Sun Devils hung around. USC's defense, that is the Achilles heel of this team once again. And so with that being said, I think Colorado, no Travis Hunter once again. Not a big fan of him playing video games and streaming during the game. I don't know if you guys saw that. But while Colorado was up or down 35 points against Oregon, he was streaming. He was playing video games.
He tuned out also, in other words?
He was like, you know what? I'm not watching this anymore. I'm going to go stream and play video games. Not the best look. If I'm him, I would have kept my eyes on the screen. Or if I'm going to turn away, don't stream it. Like, don't go public with it. But whatever. He's a kid. Regardless, I think USC wins, but Colorado covers.
Hey, man, he's a multitasker. He can play offense, he can play defense, he can play video games while he's also watching the game.
That's true.
Brett,
does that count as video being watched? If he's
count
got his
towards your
iPad
time?
on
Yeah.
next to the game as he's twitching.
Hey, Dion's watching though.
We hear that word twitch a lot. By the way, totally changing gears for a second. Is Jed Fish going back and forth with the use of Twitch, like in a good and a bad way at times? Like, hasn't he been saying like no Twitch? Isn't that a phrase of his?
No flinch.
No flinch.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
No
my bad. 'Cause
flinch.
I heard him talking about, who was he talking about yesterday about?
Noah.
Oh,
Noah's
okay.
got Twitch.
Yes,
He
okay.
has Twitch
I was like,
and
wait
has
a
no
minute.
flinch.
Okay, my bad. I was thinking he was saying no Twitch and the Twitch, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is all confusing now. But
Who do you like in the Colorado USC game, Brett?
I'm with Justin. I think SC to win and Colorado to cover.
Dang, we are all on the same page so far on both games. I'm going to say the same thing. They didn't show a lot of fight last week, Colorado, but I think they were just kind of emotionally spent. After 3 tough weeks, really tough, kind of wild game the week before. Oregon obviously was extremely geared up to play them. We're not here for clicks. We're here for wins. All that business. So I'm going to go with you guys as well. I think that point spread is too big. All right, now we shift gears to a game not as high profile. That's ASU at Cal.
Oh boy.
This game is at noon on Pac-12 networks. This point spread is kind of wild. Cal is favored by 13 points against ASU. I think you might know where I'm headed on this one. I'm going to take Cal to win, but I'm going to take ASU. I'm going to take those 13 points. That seems like a lot, and these are two of the lesser teams in the conference. That just seems like a lot to me. I think this game could go either way. Cal's just kind of been all over the map this season. Got blown out at Washington. Looking bad in every aspect of the game. I don't think it's that easy to bounce back, and I think Kenny Dillingham is going to get the Sun Devils to play hard throughout this year 0, no matter what the stakes are. So I'm going to take Cal to win and ASU to beat the spread. Brett?
I'm saying ASU to win.
Yeah, my guy. I'm going with that too.
Wow,
Let's go. Me too.
Celebrating the Sun Devils.
This sounds insane.
Me too.
This sounds insane,
Let's
but
go.
there is something about pulling for this group that 2 weeks ago I thought played the worst game in the history of their program. Pulling for him is not the right word, but there's something about the fact that of what they were able to do against SC, and I don't think Cal's good. I think that's just it. I think Cal's got a couple good players, which is why they're going to be in some games, but I just don't think Cal's that good. Cal needed 3 touchdowns to bring it to within 40 against Washington. They were down 40 late in the third. So to me, it bodes as the perfect opportunity for ASU to get a win before getting toward that final stretch of the year.
2 words. Trenton Bourguet. A Tucson native. Back under center. I thought he was a goner. I really thought after he got hurt that was it with Trent Bourguet. We weren't going to see him for the remainder of the season. But it seems like they're doing all right, anyone who has a pulse and can move, you're going to play quarterback for us. They are going through a lot of quarterbacks right now. So I like Trent Bourguet, even though the Sun Devils are banged up. This game is personal, too, for Charlie Ragle, who's on ASU's staff, used to coach special teams and tight ends at Cal. So I'm going with the Sun Devils to pull off the upset.
Could be another showcase for Scattaboo. Too.
Scattaboo.
You can kind of
Wild
do it
Scat.
all. Yeah, the Wild Scat. Okay, 3:30 again. Pac-12 networks. Big day for Pac-12 networks. They've got a triple header. They have Oregon visiting Stanford. Oregon's ranked 9th in the country. They're 4-0. Stanford's 1-3. We kind of saw what they're all about last week against the Wildcats in a closer game than a lot of people thought. I was not one of those people, but I didn't think it would be that close, honestly. 21-20. So Stanford is getting a lot of points here, as you might expect, in this game. It's 3:30 kickoff, 27.5 points. The Cardinal are a home dog, and I'm going to take the Cardinal. I'm going to take the points. I think that there's not a lot of energy in that building, as you experienced,
Nope.
Justin. It's kind of a sleepy atmosphere. Oregon is, it's a total letdown situation for them coming off that game last week. I think they're going to kind of sleepwalk through the first half, kind of like we were talking about before, where, oh my God, the top 10 team is behind at halftime. Then they'll get their act together. They'll be Oregon. They'll be themselves in the second half, but they won't cover the 27.5. So I am going to take the Ducks to win and the Cardinal to cover. Justin.
Going with the Ducks to win and cover. I think that generating your own energy is key here, as Arizona tried to do last week. Didn't really do that on offense. Couldn't really get into a rhythm. Defensively, though, guys were getting amped up. Like Taylor Upshaw was a force out there on the field. I know, like on the stat sheet, you only see a few tackles, but like those 2 sacks,
He had 2 sacks.
the way that he was playing on the field, like watching him between plays, like there was a certain dog energy that Arizona's defense brought. I think Oregon, yes, they don't really have the prime motivation with Colorado and that on the other side, but I think that they're going to go into Stanford. They're probably going to have more fans than the Cardinal. Like it was honestly really alarming that there weren't that many fans at Stanford Stadium, and yet it seemed like it was a split crowd between Stanford and Arizona. I think Oregon's going to pack the place. Give me the Ducks to win and cover.
I think Ducks to win and cover. I was not huge on the Ducks going into last week, but I'm big on them coming out. I think Ducks to win and cover. I think it may not be 28 points or more the whole game, but I think there will be even with a second string in the fourth quarter type situation, I think Oregon's going to pull away.
Yeah, on the Stanford side too, by the way, like the quarterback situation, really weird platoon thing that they got going on. I feel like their best running play was the quarterback run up the middle, or the best overall offensive play. And I don't think that's really going to work against Oregon, but I'm still going to take Stanford, even though it doesn't make a ton of sense. All right, that leaves us with our game here in Tucson, also on Pac-12 networks. Number 7 Washington at Arizona. The Huskies are 4-0. Wildcats are 3-1. This is a huge opportunity for Jed Fish's program, kind of put themselves on the map. They are getting a lot of points. Again, as you might expect, the spread is 18.5. As we are recording this, Justin, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arizona to cover, but I'm going to go with the Dogs to win this game. I think, eventually we're going to see Washington's high-powered offense. I mean, they're going to be tested. I really think Arizona's defense is going to take it to these guys. This might be the biggest test that Washington has faced all year long. I think the defense is going to be very gritty, very tough. I like the way that the linebackers have been playing, the defensive line, the rotation that they have. It's night and day different compared to last year. And that side of the ball is significantly better. I just think that it all comes down to, can you generate a takeaway or two? And this season, we have not seen Arizona get an interception. They came close to one. Takario Davis had one in the back of the end zone, which was nixed due to a...
What did Johnny Nansen say was his advice to the defensive backs?
Just
catch the damn ball.
Just catch the damn ball. Like it's that simple. Dalton Johnson almost had an interception against Stanford, which I totally missed. Did not see that play. But if Arizona can get an interception and a fumble, and if they can get off to a fast start, I really like the Wildcats to possibly pull off the upset. But until I see it, I'm going to go with what I know. And what I do know is that Washington's offense is scary good. They're putting up nearly 600 yards every single game, putting up nearly 50 points every single game. They have 199 points in the first 4 games. That's the most I think they've scored in a season since 1971. So they're historically good this year. Their offense is so good. So I'm going to go with Washington to win, but Arizona to cover.
Yeah, I'm on the same track as you. Last year's game was a 10-point game. I think this year's game may be an 8-point game. I'm going to do a little channel my inner Justin here a little bit and give you a scenario for the end of the game, like Justin has done many times in the past. Arizona down a score, gets the ball back, gets to midfield, has a Hail Mary attempt at the end of the game that is knocked down by the Washington defense, but T-Mac comes close to catching it. How about that?
Wow.
So we got it with an 8-point spread here. Very competitive and encouraging performance by the Wildcats, regardless of who plays at quarterback. We will see a lot of that dollar package in this game, I think, too. Yeah. More than we've seen at any point, and kind of daring the Huskies to run the ball. And if they do, I guess that's fine. Go ahead. You're biting your lip
you got
over
a look
there.
on your face like you want to pick Arizona.
No, I'm going to get the hate mail. I think Washington to win and cover.
Oh,
I don't think that even means it's a bad effort by Arizona. I just think we're talking about Justin said a historically good offense. I think it's potentially a generational team. We talk about, I'm not taking credit for this, but I can't tell you honestly where I heard it. But
you're putting in the same class as LSU?
There was comparisons of Washington is kind of this same sort of thing that LSU was 4 years ago with Joe Burrow, in the sense that they great, but we didn't really know, are they going to be that great? Well, now we've got the template in front of us from the 2019 season. And I think Washington is that kind of team. Do they have obstacles they got to get over? Yes. I don't think Arizona's one of them. And again, 18 points to me, I go back to this sort of, what does that actually mean in football parlance? That's 2 touchdowns and a late something. I mean, it's not a not close game. It's just, the fact that it's 18.5 compared to 21.5 for Colorado and SC, I think those lines are reversed.
Yeah.
But again, I don't even think that means Arizona has a bad game. I think it's just, you're talking about different levels.
Yeah. Well, one last thought on this. We've talked a lot about the matchup between the UW offense, which might be historically good, against the Arizona defense. The Arizona offense has to show up in this game. I mean, this is not going to be a 16-13 game. It's just not.
No.
Okay? And that offense has not
Let me ask
really
a question.
clicked this
If we
season.
think Arizona, I mean, I know what you picked, so I'm not accusing, but if you said you kind of want to, there's a piece of you that wants to think Arizona could do this, and we talk about last year, how many points does Arizona have to score if they want to win this game? 35?
At least.
Man, that's a good question.
I'd
say in
that
the
38
30s.
against NAU.
They have to get in the 40s.
Right.
In the 40s.
Do we think they can? Yes.
Yes.
I do. But to your point, we haven't seen anywhere close to resembling that. Not even NAU and UTEP.
Yeah. We'll find out. But also, this is the last game that these teams will meet as Pac-12 opponents. Every single week moving forward, it's kind of like that.
Except for the
Colorado
three
Utah
going
and
over
ASU.
to
The
Big
four
12,
corner schools. A lot of interesting games between these two teams. 1998 is obviously the most memorable one. The leap by the lake, Ortiz Jenkins flipping in the end zone. 1992 in Tucson, the Wildcats took down the top-ranked Huskies, which
Defending champs at the
defending national champions. They won 54-0 in Seattle the year prior, and Arizona turned around, came back and won. So just saying, anything
So
can
you're
happen.
saying next year
Saying there's a
Arizona's going to
chance.
win. Arizona's going to win it. You're saying next year's team Arizona's going to beat the defending national champion Huskies.
Potentially.
Potentially, no. I mean, I joke, but
We'll find out. All right, that'll do it for this episode of the Wildcast. Arizona kicks off against the 7th-ranked Washington Huskies at 7 p.m. at Arizona Stadium on Saturday. Be sure to follow all of our coverage on the Wildcaster mobile app and on Tucson.com.
With everything you have on your plate, earning your degree online seems impossible. But at Grand Canyon University, we specialize in helping you fit a master's degree in education into your busy day. Your graduation team, led by your own GCU counselor, provides you with the personal support you need to succeed. Achieve your goals with a plan and team behind you. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Visit gcu.edu.